everyone. Thank you for coming to another podcast of Behind the Rescue. Today I am here with Dennise Totes from Four Dogs Farm Rescue. Thank you for joining us, Dennise. Would you like to say a few words here?
Sure. Hi, this is Dennise. I'm founder director of Four Dogs Farm Rescue, and I've been in rescue for about 16 years. I originally started as an independent rescue, as a hospice-only rescue, and that was amazing. We rescued a lot of hospice dogs. Not every dog that is hospice is suffering. The problem with hospice rescue, as many people might know, is that people want you to rescue those dogs, but they don't want to support you necessarily. So I moved from hospice, and I still have hospice homes. I have about 20 hospice dogs, and I love them. They're kind of my favorite. We moved to small dogs. Then small dogs just had it so much easier than the large dogs. And I was like, oh my God, how am I going to get all these large dogs adopted? And I mean, to me, large is anything from 50 pounds to 100 plus pounds. And it was doing fairly well for the first few years until, as we all know, when COVID hit and then the world opened up and everybody went back to work, things drastically changed for all of us in rescue. We're a medical rescue. Most of our dogs start off in serious condition, injured, seriously injured, like even set on fire, injured, hacked up with machetes, thrown off cliffs. That is not an exaggeration. We also rescued a lot of pregnant mums because we like to keep our dogs longer than most rescues do, because it's irresponsible in my mind to adopt a dog out that you don't fully know. And it does take about 4 months. And most of us in rescue are familiar with the 333. And puppies should never leave their mums until they have a healthy immune system. And you do not have a healthy immune system at 6 to 8 weeks old. So those dogs stay with us for 4 months as well. We rescue Northern California, Southern California, and Tijuana, Mexico. Very challenging working in another country and very expensive. It used to be that Tijuana was very cheap, and now it is pretty much on the same level as the US, which is frightening because you don't expect that. And when things change quickly, that in itself can be quite a challenge. The adoption process for us is that the dogs don't actually get to meet their families first. They get adopted from pictures and videos and information that we give the families. It's a very in-depth interview and vetting process for these families, because as you know, you don't really know who the dog is until the dog lives in your home. But because we do keep the dogs for at least 4 months in foster families, we actually do know who the dogs are. So when people go to meet a dog during the adoption process, they might be walking away from a really good dog because the dog just didn't react the way they expected the dog to react. The dogs aren't going to jump in your arms and say, hey, mom, hey, dad, let's go home and live happily ever after. Sometimes they're aloof. Sometimes they have their tail tucked between their legs. Sometimes they are excited to see you. We like to say that only 2% of those dogs where people say, well, my last dog chose me. They're what we call a boogeyman dog, who literally will go home with the boogeyman. But most dogs they take time to get to know each other. Living, breathing creatures take time to get to know living, breathing. We were very lucky to find sponsored pet. I think when we first hooked up with these guys, it was a serious time for us. And we all of a sudden, we got this great influx of really generous donation, which really saved the day. They're great to work with because they're always available. They're very down to earth and very comfortable. The interaction is always really comfortable. And sometimes it's so hard, as you know, in rescue, they're having a rough day. But these guys really get to the crux of things, and they make you feel comfortable, and that you know that whatever they say they're going to do, they do.
Well, that was a long introduction.
I thought I was doing the whole bloody thing.
Well, you didn't have to do a whole bloody thing.
Well, I've done it now. You can go. What else?
Give me a concise version.
Introduction of who we are, though. That is it. We do so much, and I think a little tiny piece. We hand out coloring books and crayons to the children on the streets of Tijuana, because in Tijuana, people don't respect animals like they do in the US, and we all know in the US they don't necessarily respect them the way they should as well. But in these coloring books says, little stories about what an animal needs to be loved and cherished, both healthy, mentally, and physically.
That'd be interesting because we work with like Paws and Claws, and we work with some other ones that are based in Egypt, and they face a similar issue of just trying to, I don't say humanize dogs, but just kind of humanize the interactions between people and the animals over there.
It is pretty horrible because these kids, you know, we learn from adults, right? We learn from our family, and you can't change an adult's mind. You just can't. So being able to get the kids when they're young, there's kids as young as 5 years old playing on the streets of Tijuana alone. So for them to learn from these coloring books, which we get donated by Operation Blankets of Love, to enjoy coloring in, reading the stories, then we're planting a seed that's going to maybe change their view on animals that are going to be different from their parents. Not everybody treats animals poorly there, but it's very poor. And the poorer the place, the harder it is for people to actually care, unfortunately.
No, it's very true, right? I mean, you really have to start in at that young age just to be able to make change because
yes, because it's too late once their minds are set, and they're hungry too. There's many days where the kids aren't getting fed, and they don't have new clothes, and they don't have this, and they don't have that. So, and it's usually the families are, you know, they don't have the garbage pickup like we have here, and so the dogs are they're starving, and they're trying to get into their garbage because they're hungry, and then they become a problem, and then the adults think, you know, let's get rid of them, and then sometimes, unfortunately, it's quite dreadful the way they do it.
yeah, it's systemic, you know, and that's everywhere. That's every issue, every problem is systemic. But the coloring books is a really good idea. I like that.
Oh, it is, because it's teaching them almost accidentally. They don't know what's happening. They're just having fun, and they're enjoying doing it. And as they read it, and the more they do it, it just becomes something internal and a habit that they're going to maybe do something different than their parents did.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's really cool. It's definitely, I was just speaking with a nonprofit this morning, and they do something where they paint animals that are up for adoption and rescue. They get supplies that come in from Michael's and another place, and then they'll sell them to organizations around to help support those nonprofits that have those animals up for adoption.
Wow.
Which is really cute. So, and she's up in the Seattle area. I might be able to connect you. I'm thinking of doing like once a month a roundtable discussion with all of our nonprofit partners and just
That would be great.
people together.
Because honestly, places like Seattle, Washington, Canada, those kinds of places, they actually short on dogs. And we're super saturated in California, everywhere.
Yeah, and that's what they're saying. Even in Seattle now, it's getting Washington's getting saturated because they used to take dogs in from all over the place, but now since COVID and
Mainly
that
small
years
dogs.
afterwards,
Yeah,
what's that?
mainly small dogs. It's really
Yeah.
hard when you're in rescue with big dogs. It's really hard. I've had some of my larger dogs. Everybody says, "Oh, my dog's really big. It's 40 pounds." Well, that's not very big to me. But people don't want to adopt the bigger dogs, and it's hard. Some of our dogs have been with us for 5 years.
And especially harder now too, because you have people living in smaller spaces and apartments and not much yards, right? And that limits the market of where those larger dogs can go too, right?
Well,
I mean,
it kind of does, but what people, when they think about adopting a larger dog, they think, oh, well, I only have a small backyard. Well, to me, if you're really a dog person, a backyard is basically a glorified toilet and a place to lay in the sun. Because if you're really a dog person, you can take your dog out. No, I don't like dog parks. Dog parks are very dangerous. They're full of disease, and you never know who's walking in the door. And your dog might be well behaved, and the other people you're there with, dogs might be well behaved, but you might be getting a dog that's walking in the door that may have some issues, and the parent has no idea how to handle it. And very often they're oblivious to what's going on, and then something happens. But going into an open place and taking your dog there, that's what dog parents mainly do, because the big dog's not going to be running around the backyard exercising itself. But it is much easier to have a yard of some kind so that you don't have to get dressed every time your dog needs to pee and walk down the street.
for sure. No, yeah, those are good points. Those are good points for sure. What inspired you to start your nonprofit?
Well, as a little kid, I grew up extremely poor. And we lived at the bottom of a big cliff. It was no fence. above the cliff, but a lot of people lived up there, and dogs would fall down in my yard, and some would die and some would be seriously injured, and it was horrible. And I'm old. So there wasn't vets on every corner or everything like that, and we couldn't afford to do anything, but we did our best with the dogs. And I saw how hard it was for my mother, and I just decided that one day when I grow up, I'm going to save all the animals in the world, because I knew what she was trying to do the best she could without any money whatsoever. We didn't even eat every day, so I was like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to make sure that I'm going to save them all. Well, of course you can't save them all, but you can try to do your very best, and that can be a challenge some days, especially when the funding is just not there to do it. But for us, all of our dogs do start off as medical dogs. So I decided, because I was a medical practitioner, I should go into the medical rescue side of things, because honestly, humans and dogs, their medical problems are not even that different. Their medications aren't that different. The x-rays aren't that different. The labs are the same. It was such an easy transition for me. And so that's it. So I got here.
That's pretty cool. Where did you grow up?
Sydney, Australia.
How old were you when you came over here?
Don't be asking me those rude questions. I've been here for...
How about how old you were, not what year? How about that?
Well, I was 28. I've been here 30-something years.
So you're
100.
29. You're 29. Oh, good.
There you go. I like that.
I'm married. See, I know. I'm always wrong.
You have been schooled well.
Yeah. I'm 39. It's been hammered into me. Don't worry.
39. Oh my God, I wish.
Well, you look good for however old you are.
I look good. You look good for being old.
Well, I don't know how old you are. You could be 39. You could be 69. I don't know.
No, I'm not 69. I'm 62.
All right.
Old as Jesus.
What's that?
Old as Jesus, I tell people.
You're just coming down with some new commandments maybe here soon.
There you go.
Are you drinking sangria in the morning? What are you drinking?
No. Oh, that would be lovely though.
That would be lovely.
It would be lovely though. Got a lot to do. We're kind of getting sourced in the middle of the day when there's a lot to do.
Yeah, there's a lot to do. That's for sure. Can you share a memorable success story or a highlight of yours?
Oh my God. There's been so many. It's really hard to choose. Okay, so I saw a video. Somebody sent me a video. People ask me, how do you choose who to rescue? Sometimes it's a smoke signal. Sometimes it's an email or whatever. So I got this video sent to me, and I had no idea where this dog was. And it was the thinnest, skinniest dog I've ever seen in my life, and I've seen more than my share. And I was so upset because this dog had a massive tumor in his mouth, and he was a pit bull. And so he was living in where somebody had moved out, and it was all garbage. And so this dog was running out and barking, but he wasn't barking like he was going to kill anybody. So we didn't know where he was. So we sent the team out. I said, don't come back without this dog. So when they get there, they actually took a couple of days to find him. And when they got there, this other dog ran out, and her back leg was hanging off. She'd been run over intentionally by the family that moved out of the house. And she was, in her condition, protecting who we nicknamed Moose. She was the problem, and she was just a scruffy terrier. Moose was like, hi, everybody, I'm starving to death, but I'm going to come with you and I'm going to live happily ever after. I didn't expect him to survive, but he had this incredible personality where he very quickly gained weight. He went from, I think, like 30 pounds to 100 pounds. And then we took the other dog too. We never leave a dog behind, and we amputated her leg. It had been hanging there for a very long time. She ended up getting adopted by some fosters of ours who foster fail all the time. Every single time they foster a dog, and they only foster terrible, bad attitude dogs, they adopt them because they love those kinds of dogs. And so she's living in luxury. And Moose was adopted by a wonderful family that had a very stressed out pit bull, and they were looking for basically a therapy dog for their pit bull. And Moose was so amazing. No matter who he came in contact with, whether it be a dog, a cat, a human, he'd be like, hey, you, over there, wait for me. I'm going to come home with you and I'm going to live forever with you. He just loved everybody and he offered his paw to everybody. It was like the Oprah of the dog world. You get a paw, you get a paw, and you get a paw. And then so he was adopted by this incredible family and he instantly bonded with them and helped the other dog become more comfortable. That was about 3-4 years ago. Unfortunately, we just found out that he ended up getting cancer again. The tumor that he had was fully resolved that we removed, and it wasn't metastatic or anything. Pit bulls often do get cancer, so we just lost Moose, but he had an incredible story. Incredible life. Those 4 years with that family was amazing.
It's a good story. Minus poor dog.
He was a great dog. He was just in love with everybody.
That's cool. That's cool. You have to get some pictures of him.
Oh yeah, I got lots of pictures of Moose.
Yeah, we gotta put some of your success stories up on our site.
Oh, we got so many success stories. You have no idea, because we've done some things I don't know we can actually put on. I don't think we can actually tell everything we did. We kicked in a few doors, stole a few dogs that have been abused.
That's okay.
Yeah, climbed over some fences with bolt cutters.
I don't think people from Mexico they're not watching us in Mexico. It's okay.
Oh no! Somebody was murdered across the street from one of my fosters in Tijuana, and the police never came. So they're certainly not coming to arrest us because we're saving dogs from horrific situations.
That's crazy. What are some of your biggest challenges that you're facing today?
Feeding everybody, flea and tick treatment, basic care. It's so hard with what's going on in the country and the world, where there's so many options for people to send their money to. So it is when you have 100 and something dogs and they need flea and tick treatment every month, you can imagine how much money that is. It's every 3 months, it's almost $9,000 just for flea and tick.
Wow.
And then the winter, it's freezing in TJ, freezing. And then the storms are horrific. Really hard because every year we have to have to provide 2 sweaters for the dogs each, because one has to be in the wash while they're wearing the other one. And dogs like to play and eat the other sweater off the other dog, or destroy your playing and rough and tumbling. Blankets, those sort of things that you think are basic. And for us, we actually have to buy water. So for the dogs, safe water for them to drink. We've had to put plumbing into some of the houses there, some of the homes. It's nonstop what we have to do and what we have to provide, which is way more than your typical foster home.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Oh God, you have no idea.
You give them plumbing. That's impressive.
Plumbing. We provide their washing machines and dryers, every single cleaning product there is. Laundry soap, dish soap, brooms, mops, buckets, Clorox, simple green surface wipes and sprays. It is a non-stop monthly thing. Cleaning products cost us about $1,000 a month.
Do you get them through Amazon, or were you getting them through?
I was getting it through Amazon and Costco, and then having it taken across the border. But because I prefer to do it that way, because it's a little bit cheaper for us, but the fosters need it when they need it, and sometimes they don't get it in time. So they go to Tijuana Costco. But unfortunately, Tijuana Costco, everything is considered imported. So it costs more than it does actually to cost to buy it in San Diego across the street and have somebody deliver it. But it's all about timing and need.
I would not think it would be more expensive in Mexico.
It is. Absolutely. Mexico, Tijuana is more expensive than the Costco here. I feed my dogs from Costco, all of them, from the Costco in San Diego. In Tijuana, people can't really afford to buy dog food. So there's very few places that actually sell dog food. Costco is one of them. When you go into a supermarket, they don't fill up shelves with things that no one's going to buy. So there might be a bag of some disgusting stuff on a shelf. There might be 1 or 2, but you can't go to a supermarket and buy dog food. So it has to come from like a Costco base. But it costs so much more a bag in Tijuana that I have people buy it for me and then cross it across the border. And it's so much cheaper. I can get a 50-pound bag of dog food in San Diego. It's called Nuggets, but it's made by a really good brand, for $30. I can't buy 28 pounds for $68-74 in TJ.
You're like a dog food drug smuggler.
I am. And honestly, we do get into trouble taking the supplies across because they're crooked. The border's crooked. They've impounded the vehicles, and I've had to pay fees to get the vehicle, surrendered back to the owner, all kinds of crazy ass shit. Oops. I did it again. Well, it's good. It's only one time.
It's good so far, you know?
I can behave myself every now and again.
Cheers to that. So how can people get involved locally with, right? Would it be more advantageous to get involved down in TJ or just
Oh no,
in
what
the US?
what we really need right now is a foster program. We want to be able to get people to foster in the US so I can get the dogs out of TJ and here. But it used to be so easy to just get them adopted, like I said earlier, just from pictures and videos and information. But since people went back to work, so many dogs were surrendered into the shelter that the market is saturated. So it is super hard to get a dog adopted without anyone meeting them. Only way that we can do that is if we have fosters here that can just take a dog or two dogs, or if they want two dogs. Typically the problem is with the fosters, getting fosters in the US, a foster wants to know this question typically first. Even before the dog gets there, they're going to ask me, when is the dog leaving? How the hell do I know when the dog is leaving? We don't want to bump the dog around. We need committed fosters. We need fosters that are going to say, I am here to help you until this dog gets adopted, because they're like hairy little kids, hairy little foster kids. When they get bumped around, their hearts are broken. And then they have to go through the whole process of learning to trust a new foster before they can open up their hearts to meeting a potential home. It's so complicated and convoluted at times, but in order to do it right, we have to jump through these hoops. I wish I had fosters here. I've put out pleas for help for 12 years, and the only fosters I ever do, they adopt all them dogs. So then they no longer can take in any dogs. Like today, I'm cooking food for a foster family to say thank you for the things that they've been doing. They have 5 of my dogs. Wow. They were good dogs when they went to them. Now they're dreadful dogs, and I've had to be retraining them. But they're so loved and happy. But you either get fosters and want the dog to be gone in a week because they don't get it. It's just like the idea of fostering and telling their friends, oh, it's great, let's foster. Or you get the fosters that keep every dog that comes in the house because they're heartbroken, they can't let them go. It's hard.
We are building out a network of our own people that are interested in fostering to be able to take in information. And
well, I would like to be able to give you some insight to that when you do that, because it is hard in being in rescue. As long as I've been in rescue, I know what people are likely to do. You can't afford to have people that are going to be there for a day or a week. It's great to have emergency placement fosters, and you need special needs fosters. It's like a whole range of people, and there are people that want a project, so they don't mind having a dog that might need medication or who needs socializing, that's scared to death of the world and just needs time to open up. Some people enjoy doing those things. So there's a huge array, a big rainbow of people out there that you need to be able to reach.
So our part is we'll do the initial form intake, and then you'd be able to search people within whatever area, and then qualify them more. But at least we can get you names and people that are interested, where then you would do the other vetting and go deeper.
But there should be some questions on there to weed some people out, like I just said, are you interested in a special needs dog? Do you only want some people have a male dog that only likes female dogs? That sort of a thing. It's not a million questions, but enough questions that the rescue would say, oh, that person is a potential. Versus the people, when they get denied, the fosters get denied because they maybe live on a 5th floor, the 5th story floor, 5th floor or something. They get disappointed and they just give up and they don't want to help. So just a few things would really make it easier on both ends.
Yeah, and it's not like a little, just fill in your information. It's actually like a questionnaire behind it where we ask a decent.
Yes.
But I think you bring up some good additional questions that we can probably check off too and do. I'll have to go back and look to see if we have some of those ones that you just mentioned. What are your goals and vision for the future of 4Dogs Farm Rescue?
That's a loaded question because everything revolves around funding. My vision is to not be in such a panic all the time so that we can gain the funds that we need to do what we need to do on a daily basis so that the dogs are ready for adoption, to build up a foster base here. We do our own transports. We're set up, multiple different situations, but being able to provide for the dogs without the panic of oh my God, I got to raise X amount of, the food is always pretty much the same. The flea tick treatment is pretty much the same. So we know what we need every month. But one day being able to have the support where we don't have to be in a panic every single month. And unfortunately, that's how it is. I take a small goal
It's always the cart before the horse, right? You know where you want to go. It's how do you get there and to be able to do that. And that's especially with a lot of the local nonprofits that we work with is that, right? A lot of the larger 4, 5 suck up all the money when you guys are doing the real challenging work on the ground level.
A lot of rescues like to say, well, all the money goes to the dogs. Well, very often, a lot of the money that gets brought in doesn't go directly to the dog. The dogs have to have a roof over their head and that sort of a thing. But the money should go to the organizations where it actually more of the money reaches the dogs. So often people like us, I used to run 450 dogs at any given time. Now I'm down to about 122. And that's challenging. And 400, when things were great, 450 dogs was nothing for me. Nothing. It was a well-oiled machine. Bam, 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 bam. Everybody was doing what they were supposed to be doing. Everybody was enjoying what they were doing because it's a success and they felt good about it. I saw how things were changing and money wasn't coming in. So I have to say no, probably 30 to 40 times a day for people reaching out to me to take a dog. And that's heartbreaking.
It is. And that's what we hope to be able to do, right? Is to shine a light and grow your audience and how people can get involved and to help and for people to understand.
Reaching more people, reaching a larger audience has to be our hope will be the key to success, because we do have some really great followers and people who have been supporting us. A handful of people can't support 120 something dogs with what we need, with just having almost $9,000 every 3 months worth of flea and tick treatment. That's everything. It's just not possible.
Donor fatigue. They can only donate so much, right? There's only so much they can do.
Look what's going on in the world right now. Terrible things. Look what's going on in our country. There's so many different places for people to send their money to. And so they're like, oh, well, I'm sending it for Four Dogs Farm Rescue, but look at this horrible storms. People have lost their homes. They've got no water. They don't have this. I want to give my money there this month. And of course, you fully understand why. But next month, there's going to be another disaster. And there's going to be another war. And people are going to go, okay, well, I only have so much money, so it's going to go there. And so that's why we need a larger audience and one that continues to build.
Mm-hmm. Corporate sponsorships.
Oh my God, you know how hard that is. We have tried so hard to get corporate sponsorship. It is nuts.
We can do it.
Get it done.
We will. Do you have your Google AdWords set up on your website?
Do I have my Google what?
Your AdWords, your free $10,000 Google AdWords set up?
No.
I'm going to do this for you. So Google will give nonprofits $10,000 on free Google advertising that you can target individuals a month as a nonprofit. That's something we can certainly do for you.
That would be great, because the new volunteer that I got, that I was telling you how he was really great, was doing this. He actually mentioned that to me, and then all of a sudden he was gone. But he did have a personal tragedy back in Florida. Again, he was telling me about it, and I'm like, oh my God.
I brought in somebody, she's named Lauren, and she's worked with a lot of rescues and has an extensive background in PR and marketing and has done Google AdWords and has a connection there.
Great.
We can set that up I might have to charge you a little bit of money, but it'll be well worth it to be able to manage it. It's like at cost of what it would be for us. We're not going to make any money off of you. It'll be like $350 a month, but you get $10,000 in free advertising a month.
Well, we've got to be able to part with that $350 a month. That's the thing.
It's the opportunity cost, 100%, right? But because we will be able to reach a larger audience and to be able to do that.
That's $350 divided by 30 times 50 pounds. Can you imagine how much? What if I don't have that $350? And that means I got X amount of dogs are going to go hungry. And I know I truly get it. I cannot not feed the dog.
Right. That's not an option. Right. That's not an option.
I got my van sitting outside, my transport van, and I'm too scared to look on the website to see, on the insurance website, to see if I'm due this month. I can't drive it without insurance, right? So I fully understand. It's just hard. It's so hard.
So I'm working on something else. We're going to be able to start offering. We're in the beginning phase. I don't want to put the cart before the horse here. I won't use that again. But ideally, what we're going to have in 3-4 months is that we're going to be selling pet products on our site, and we're going to be getting them through the manufacturer. And let's say our margins are 30 to 40% from retail price. I can probably, I don't know what it would be like, but I can get the nonprofits a cheaper amount where they pay 20% on the retail or something like that to find. And then that would help you to be able to find money elsewhere to do other things that you can.
Absolutely.
It should cost 20%, because I would like to be able to do something like that. I think that would be awesome.
So it'll be like company these, like it's like a drop shipment thing to how does it get to the rescue?
So we're looking at either having a drop ship ability, or there's a distributor in Northern California. Actually, I'm having a meeting with either later this week or next. I'm not sure when we put it up, but I brought somebody in who basically works as the middleman between the distributors and the end clients, right? For pet stores,
because
stores.
I have CBD and I will give you guys the bestest price, absolutely, to get the product out there. That's an actual real product.
I know we need to put you up on our site. I need your information to be able to do that. We can list you
I
up
don't
in
know.
there.
You have to be more clear about. Otherwise, you're going to get 4 hours worth of me just talking and information you don't really want. Because honestly, I want to say this: when it comes to the products, make sure that those products actually work. Because if they don't work, then it's not going to help the rescues. And because, for example, there are products out there on the Cuddly website which do not work, and I know they charge ridiculous amounts of money for it. They have the donors to sign up into the Wish basket, basically, so the rescue can use that amount of money to buy some products.
Yeah.
Why the hell do we want to buy products that do not work, of no use? Who needs a stuffed toy that every dog on the face of the planet can tear up and choke on and end up with $10,000 intestinal abdominal surgery bill? Who needs flea and tick treatment that does not work? Be careful about the products that you get. Because that will really make a difference to the rescues as to
we're going to go with like Kong and other top line manufacturers in the space, so we should have access to a lot of them. But I agree, right? Like Cuddly has tons of crap out there that just sucks.
Well, it's just like Armor flea and tick treatment, for example, right? People buy that. I'm sure my neighbor probably buys that, but it's such a weak product that in Tijuana, do you know that the rescues that's getting shoved on, they are trying to give it away. So it's like that sort of a thing that's useless. That's useless, wasted money. Every penny matters. And I'm so happy you guys are going to be honest and realistic in what you're going to do with that program of us being able to buy products through you guys, where it's going to cost us less. Even a little bit less is better than full price. And then what we're doing right now is we're actually having to spend more money, like sometimes 2 times the amount of money for something than we would if we were able to get that $25 and go down the Petco and buy that dewormer instead of paying $60 for it. But we should use the money because it's in the bank, their bank.
We have a few more minutes. I got to wrap up here.
All right, hurry up. You take too long.
I know. I talk a lot. I know. What keeps you motivated and passionate about what you're doing over there?
What keeps me motivated? Oh my God, it's so hard because it's been so demoralizing for so many rescue people, for all of us, everybody, even the big guys, right? And like I said, we had 450 dogs at any given time for years, and it was no big deal. So the motivation, that it's demoralizing and just drains out of your body. But we have no choice. Those dogs are there. We have to take care of them. What keeps me motivated is the hope that maybe this might turn around and that we may be able to rescue those dogs. I say to people, what I used to say more often than I say now, that there is some dog lying on the side of the street. Like last year, it was Francis. We rescued him on St. Francis Day. He lived in a tunnel, and I don't know how many thousands of people drove by this dog, and he was starving and dying in front of everybody's eyes. And I tell people that there's a dog lying on the street like Francis that's probably thinking he's going to take his last breath, and he's lonely and he's hungry and he's cold or he's hot or he's on the cement, it's burning his little body. And then 4 Dogs Farm Rescue shows up. We literally sometimes have to scrape him up off the road, and we get them to the vet and we get them everything they need. That's why Moose survived, because he knew he was loved instantly. He knew we had good people, and we gave him the strength to fight. That's what keeps me motivated, that maybe one day we might be able to go back to being that rescue versus just right now in survival mode.
That's really cool. That's good.
It was very true.
It is. That's a good one. It's tough right now. We'll get you there. We'll help get you there.
What I really do like about you guys is that it is like just talking to somebody you've known your whole life. You don't have to worry about that you're going to be like, just say how bad it really is. We're not here to blow smoke. We're here to we need to get the attention that's needed, not just for my rescue, for everybody's rescues. I help so many other rescues in so many different ways, and they'll even send me their adopters when there's a problem because the dog's sick or got some issues, or even our adopters will send me their relatives who didn't even adopt a dog from us because something's going on. I want to help everybody. I want to help us, of course. I want to help our dogs. I want to be able to save more dogs. But I think I like the sense of community that you guys put out there. And that is what we need. That's what we all need. Not just in rescue. The sense of community is missing in most aspects. People are cruel to each other. And I really like that you guys kind of bringing that back in for rescue people. So I'm definitely going to have to send out the word and say, hey, annoy this guy.
Yeah, I appreciate that. And that's really what we're trying to do, right? Animals really break down the barriers that people have. And that's what we're trying to do, is to build a community that's not only online, but in person too. And we're starting with this program and this initiative first to be able to get into our own rescues and sanctuaries across the country, to be able to foster that, to have a place where it's built around animals. It's just, you look around neighborhoods, you look around how people interact, and that's just very disconnected when you look at 60s, 70s, 80s, how 90s, even how we grew up, right? It just doesn't exist anymore. And I think, you had mentioned about saving every animal. It's like, your job isn't to save every animal. It's to save the ones that are there and right there with you, because all the other rescues that are along with you in this journey just do their part. And if everyone does their part, then we can save all as in a collective, right? It takes a village to raise a baby, as I'm finding out, right? It's just like, it's the same thing. It's like, it takes a village and a community to be able to inspire change and do all these things. That's what we hope to foster. And I think, we're on our way to be able to do so. I really appreciate you being able to take your time to sit down with us, because I know how busy you are. And, it's great to be able to chat with you always, and to be able for you to share your story with our community and just people who might stumble upon us and find us as well. Other than that, any last parting words before I let you go?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything.
Well, I really do appreciate the time.